All right, let's get right into it. If you're a CEO or a senior leader, you already know that managing performance is literally the engine of your business. But what happens when that engine misfires? Well, today we are unpacking the Performance and Accountability Management System, or PAMS, which was authored by Syed Amar Hussein Banori. In this explainer, we're going to explore why your current HR setup might actually be shielding poor management, and more importantly, exactly how to fix it. Let's dive in. So picture this. A major compliance error occurs, say a severe data privacy breach. Who really takes the fall? I mean, we've all seen this familiar cascade of blame, right? The head of department blames the manager blames the team lead, and eventually the finger points squarely at some junior employee. But as an executive, you have to stop and ask yourself, is a massive departmental failure really the sole fault of a junior staffer? Look, this blame cascade, it reveals a structural management failure. It is not just an isolated HR issue. In a blame culture, responsibility is constantly just pushed downward. The alternative is an accountability culture, where ownership and measurement exist at every single management level. The solution here isn't to just arbitrarily punish managers, but to objectively measure accountability from the front line all the way up to the HOD. To get there, we need a complete paradigm shift, and it comes down to this one rule: accountability shall follow authority. Think about that for a second. If a manager has the authority to assign work, allocate resources, and supervise, well, they must carry accountability for the outcome. They aren't responsible for every little typo a junior makes, sure, but they are absolutely accountable for the conditions under which their teams perform. Let's put this into practice using what we call the two-level accountability model. Instead of asking who made the mistake, we need to start asking who was responsible for preventing it. For example, if an employee makes a critical miscalculation on a payroll run simply because they were never trained, that junior has limited accountability. The manager owns that failure for lacking training controls. Conversely, if a junior deliberately violates clear safety SOPs, then they hold direct accountability. Separating individual negligence from supervisory failure like this, it instantly changes your culture. And this logic feeds directly into the PAMS evaluation, which scores your workforce at 3 distinct levels. Step 1 is individual performance, so basically task execution. Step 2 is supervisory performance, which covers people management and coaching. And step 3 is departmental performance, meaning achieving organizational targets. This completely prevents an HOD from claiming, hey, my department failed because my staff failed. No way. The HOD's evaluation is intrinsically tied to the department's final output. To actually enforce this, we redesign manager KPIs using a 70-20-10 model. Check this out. 70% of a manager's evaluation is strictly based on business results, things like revenue, project milestones, efficiency. 20% is dedicated to people management, like coaching and succession planning. And the final 10%, that's leadership and behavior. This mathematically proves to leaders that they are being measured on team output, not just their own individual technical skills. Drilling down even further, managerial accountability KPIs allocate significant weight to department target achievement and team productivity, along with strategic improvement, quality and compliance, employee development, and leadership. The message is crystal clear here. A manager cannot receive an excellent rating simply by staying late at their desk, coding brilliantly, while their entire team misses every software rollout deadline. They have to demonstrate that the department succeeds under their active leadership. So, translating this theory into action requires the managerial failure review. When a major failure hits, don't just immediately punish the junior. Instead, ask 5 things. What happened? Who was directly responsible? Who was supervising? What controls were available? And crucially, what did management actually do after becoming aware of the problem? If a manager ignored a critical supply chain bottleneck for 3 months, you have a management failure on your hands, not just a frontline scapegoat. Now, identifying a problem is only half the battle. One of the biggest organizational weaknesses is managers who just endlessly complain to HR about poor performers but never actually manage the intervention. Issue closure KPIs require a stage-by-stage process. Diagnose the root cause, provide support, monitor it, and then formally close the issue. If a manager is repeatedly reporting poor performers without taking these actual steps, well, the manager is the one failing. Which leads to a concept that might make your leadership team a little uncomfortable: manager-level performance improvement plans. Most companies reserve PIPs entirely for junior staff. But under PAMS, if a department repeatedly misses targets due to poor planning or inadequate supervision, the manager goes on a PIP. This directly addresses systemic failures at the top rather than just squeezing your frontline workers harder. To ensure all of this alignment, your KPIs absolutely must cascade. It starts right at the top with the CEO's objective, say launching a new product by Q4. The HOD's goal then becomes 95% milestone achievement. The manager's goal is work package completion, and that cascades all the way down to the individual's daily tasks. Every objective directly supports the one right above it. So if a department fails, executives can trace the exact link in the chain where the performance broke down. This brings us to a really powerful juxtaposition using the RACI framework. We need to look at responsible versus accountable, because they are not the same thing. A junior employee might be responsible for executing a task, like preparing a financial audit. But the manager, they are accountable for ensuring that the audit is actually accurate and compliant. Clearly defining these roles eliminates organizational blame shifting with one undeniable definition: the manager owns the outcome. To give HR and your executive team a real-time pulse on all this, we implement the manager's monthly dashboard. Instead of just relying on gut feelings, you use a simple green, amber, and red status system to track KPIs, task completion, and quality. Green means they're performing, amber requires attention, and red flags persistent underperformance. This allows a CEO to instantly visualize systemic issues, ensuring underperforming leaders can't just hide behind a couple of isolated wins. Making this work requires a serious cultural governance shift. Honestly, the outdated, reactive annual performance review, it's dead. You simply cannot steer a company by looking in the rearview mirror. PAMS introduces a continuous 90-day cycle. Month 1 is for planning, Month 2 is for monitoring and real-time coaching, and Month 3 is for evaluation and corrective action. This creates a living, breathing culture of continuous management. And if you want this accountability culture to actually stick, you must change how you promote. Being an excellent technical employee does not automatically make someone an excellent manager. Before promoting anyone, you must evaluate their willingness to own outcomes and their ability to coach. Incorporating people management into your promotion prerequisites prevents that classic, costly trap of turning your absolute best technician into your absolute worst manager. Now, to make managers comfortable with this level of absolute accountability, you have to introduce a no-blame escalation policy. If a manager identifies a severe supply chain risk early and escalates it, they shouldn't be penalized if the delay actually materializes. Because think about it, if you punish early reporting, managers are just going to hide problems until they explode and then blame their team. Rewarding early intervention is what protects your bottom line. Ultimately, PAMS completely transforms human resources. The old paradigm treats HR like the police, just blindly executing disciplinary action demanded by frustrated managers. The new paradigm treats HR as strategic performance governance. When a manager complains about an employee's output now, HR demands the documented KPI, evidence of coaching, and the corrective actions taken before acting. HR governs the system, ensuring leadership is actually, well, leading. We've covered a ton today, from the 70-20-10 model to ensuring that accountability truly follows authority. But as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this one question. Is your HR department a police force for managers looking for scapegoats? Or is it a true performance governance function, holding your leaders to the highest possible standards? The transition from toxic blame to high-performance accountability starts with your answer. Thanks for joining us. Now go build a culture where true leadership thrives.